A young boy fascinated by sound grows up to become a great inventor. His hard work leads to the invention of the telephone, allowing people around the world to communicate across long distances. This is the story of Alexander Graham Bell, a name forever etched in the annals of history as the man who helped the world talk. Born in Edinburgh, Scotland, on March 3, 1847, young Alec, as he was known to his family, was destined for a life intertwined with the science of sound. His father, Alexander Melville Bell, was a renowned professor of elocution, a field dedicated to the art of clear and expressive speech. His mother, Eliza Grace Simmons Bell, was a talented pianist despite being nearly deaf. It was her struggle with hearing loss that first sparked her son's profound interest in acoustics and the mechanics of human speech. From an early age, Bell was a curious and inventive child. He wasn't just interested in the world around him. He wanted to understand how it worked and how he could improve it. He and his brother Melville created a simple automaton, a model of a human head that could speak a few words by forcing air through its artificial vocal cords. This early experiment, though rudimentary, was a clear sign of the path they would later follow. He was deeply influenced by his family's work. His grandfather had been an actor and elocutionist, and his father had developed a system called visible speech, a set of written symbols that represented speak sounds. This system was designed to help deaf individuals learn to speak by visually imitating the positions of the tongue, lips, and the throat. Young Alexander became proficient in visible speech and even helped his father demonstrate it, gaining an intricate understanding of how sounds are produced and perceived. This deep-rooted knowledge of phonetics and the human voice would become the bedrock of his future inventions. The family's life took a tragic turn when Bell's two brothers died from tuberculosis. Fearing for their only surviving son's health, his parents decided to move to a healthier climate. In 1870, they emigrated to Brantford, Ontario, in Canada. It was here, in the quiet countryside, that Bell's health improved, and his inventive spirit flourished anew. He continued his work with visible speech, teaching it to deaf students and further exploring the nature of sound. He began to ponder a revolutionary idea. If sound waves could be converted into a fluctuating electrical current, could that current then be used to reproduce the same sound waves at a distant location? This was the seed of the telephone. He imagined a device that could transmit not just the dots and the dashes of the telegraph, the dominant communication technology of the era, but the very nuances of the human voice itself. The concept of a harmonic telegraph, which could send multiple telegraph messages over a single wire using different musical pitches, was his first step toward this grand vision. Moving to Boston, Massachusetts, in 1872 to work as a professor of vocal physiology at Boston University, Bell found himself in a vibrant hub of scientific innovation. He worked tirelessly, often late into the night, juggling his teaching duties with his personal experiments. He secured financial backing from two wealthy patrons, Gardner Green Hubbard and Thomas Sanders, the fathers of two of his deaf students. With their support, he hired a gifted young machinist named Thomas A. Watson to help him build the devices he envisioned. Their partnership became one of the most famous in the history of invention. The two men, from vastly different backgrounds, shared a common goal and an unwavering dedication. Bell was the visionary, the man with the theoretical knowledge and the grand ideas. Watson was the skilled craftsman, the one who could turn Bell's complex sketches and the abstract concepts into tangible, working hardware. Their workshop was a place of constant experimentation, filled with wires, batteries, magnets, and the vibrating reeds. They pursued the harmonic telegraph, but Bell's mind was increasingly consumed by the more ambitious goal of transmitting speech. He theorized that a membrane, modeled after the human eardrum, could be made to vibrate by the sound of a voice. These vibrations could, in turn, alter an electrical current, which could then be transmitted along a wire. At the other end, an identical device would reverse the process, converting the electrical signals back into audible sound waves. The theory was elegant, but making it a reality proved to be an immense challenge. They faced countless failures and setbacks. The signals were too weak, the sounds were garbled, or the devices simply didn't work at all. Yet, they persisted, driven by Bell's unshakable belief that it was possible. The breakthrough moment arrived on June 2, ke-1875. While working on the harmonic telegraph, Watson accidentally plucked a metal reed that was stuck. At the other end of the wire, in a different room, Bell heard a faint twang come from his receiver. It wasn't a telegraphic click. It was a complex sound, a tone with overtones. He realized instantly what had happened. The stuck reed, when plucked, had induced a continuous, undulating current, not a simple on-off current of the telegraph. This was the exact kind of current needed to transmit the complexities of the human voice. He rushed into Watson's room, ecstatic, shouting, "Watson, don't change a thing. Let me see what you did." He had stumbled upon the principle of the telephone. The next several months were a frantic race to turn this accidental discovery into a functional device capable of transmitting clear, intelligible speech. Bell refined the design, sketching a new transmitter that used a diaphragm and a variable resistance mechanism. On March 7, 1876, Alexander Graham Bell was granted U.S. Patent 174,465 for the method of, and the apparatus for, transmitting vocal or other sounds telegraphically. It would later be considered one of the most valuable patents ever issued. Just 3 days later, on March 10, 1876, history was made. Working in their Boston laboratory, Bell and Watson were set up in separate rooms with their latest apparatus. Bell leaned over the transmitter and spoke into it. The words he uttered, though born of a minor accident he had just spilled some battery acid on his trousers, would become immortal. "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." In the other room, Watson, his ear pressed to the receiver, heard the words clearly. It was the world's first telephone call. The era of instantaneous, long-distance vocal communication had begun. Initially, the public was skeptical. The invention was demonstrated at the Centennial Exposition in Philadelphia in 1876, where it initially received little attention. However, when the Emperor of Brazil, Dom Pedro II, tried the device, he was astonished, exclaiming, "My God, it talks." This high-profile endorsement brought the telephone to the world's attention. Bell, along with his financial backers Hubbard and Sanders, and his trusted assistant Watson, formed the Bell Telephone Company in ke-1877. They faced legal challenges, with hundreds of lawsuits filed by rival inventors like Alicia Gray, who claimed to have invented the telephone first. But Bell's patent, filed just hours before Gray's own caveat, held up in court, and his claim as the inventor was solidified. The company grew rapidly, stringing wires across cities and connecting homes and businesses. The world was shrinking, and the way people lived and worked was changing forever. Alexander Graham Bell's inventive spirit did not end with the telephone. He was a lifelong inventor with a voracious curiosity. He went on to work on a wide range of projects, including the photophone, a device that transmitted sound on a beam of light, a precursor to modern fiber optic communication. He developed an early version of the metal detector to try to locate a bullet lodged in President James Garfield after an assassination attempt. He experimented with hydrofoils, creating a boat that set a world water speed record in ke-1919. He was also a pioneer in aviation, founding the Aerial Experiment Association, which developed several successful early aircraft. His work extended to genetics, exploring sheep breeding at his estate in Nova Scotia. He was a passionate educator, a champion for the deaf community, and a founding member of the National Geographic Society, serving as its second president. His life was a testament to the power of relentless curiosity and the desire to understand and improve the world. Alexander Graham Bell passed away on August 2, 1922, at his home in Nova Scotia. On the day of his funeral, every telephone in North America was silenced for 1 minute as a tribute to the man whose genius had made them all possible. He had transformed the very fabric of society, bridging distances and connecting humanity in a way that was previously unimaginable. His invention was more than just a piece of technology. It was a tool that fostered relationships, enabled commerce, and saved lives. It laid the groundwork for the vast global communications network we rely on today, from mobile phones to the internet. His legacy is not just in the device he created, but in the spirit of innovation he embodied. A young boy fascinated by sound grew up to become a great inventor. His hard work leads to the invention of the telephone, allowing people around the world to communicate across long distances.